and pitched against the Seattle Mariners, and then he hits third in the lineup. It's like he's playing travel baseball. 12U travel baseball or Little League or Ripken or whatever. He is doing things, and he's got 13 bombs, by the way, and we haven't even discussed that, in a league that is filled with guys that I don't know. I get it. The pitching is through the roof, and I appreciate the high velocity, but there are way too many dudes hitting sub 200 in the middle of June. I don't know how they stay in the big leagues. I would have been sent down to Richmond 15 different times if I was hitting $1.46. It's crazy to me. But these two guys are worth the price of admission every time out. So I want to dive in on Otani first, and I want to keep my focus on the pitching because I watched him go about it a little bit differently last night. Matt Vasgersian, Mark Gubicza do a tremendous job of giving you a little bit of an analytic-driven broadcast, and he's going to face Julio Rodriguez, one of the best young players in the game. And what is Julio thinking when he comes into this matchup? If you've watched Otani, he does like to mix his pitches. Pause this for me. Bring up the board, if you can, McVay, on his pitch percentages right here. Because when you watch him, he does give you a steady diet of everything. But every time I've watched him, it's elevated heater, and he really falls in love with his split from time to time, which is a wipeout pitch. Not so many sliders. I know it says 28%, but when you watch him, he'll occasionally scrap that pitch and go heater split a lot. Last night, from the first inning, he had his breaking ball on lockdown, and he used it 41% of the time. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Julio Rodriguez, I want to get on a high heater and not get tunneled on that nasty split. So let's dive in. This is first at bat, bottom of the first. And it is slider after slider after slider. There's a high cutter to get it to 2-0. 2-0, you're sitting heater. Swings through a nasty slider right here. 2-1, maybe a heater here. Nope, slider again, and he's on top of it. So Otani's saying to himself, why would I deviate? Let me weeds another slider down and away, and he gets the chase. And Julio Rodriguez is a great young player, but who's going to lay off that pitch? He chases 36% of the time, Julio Rodriguez. So there is a little chase in his game. So he's not going to deviate second time up. 2-1, pause this real quick. I'm saying to myself, he has shown you 8 pitches, 7 sliders. You almost got to pot commit to the pitch now, right? You got to give up. This is the one pitch I thought he should have absolutely crushed. This is a hanger over the middle of the plate, but he's not buying into it, and he just stays with the slider all night long against Julio Rodriguez. Split there, get right back to the slider off the end of the bat. So it reminded me of sitting next to Greg Maddux. You can pause this real quick before we get into Trout. Greg Maddux used to say, if I show you a pitch and I don't think you can hit it, why am I going to set you up and deviate from it? If you can't hit a two-seam fastball, I'm not going to give you something else to set up the two-seam fastball. I'm going to throw you two-seam fastballs all night long until you prove to me you can hit it. And that's kind of what I saw last night with Otani. He knew he had a good feel for his breaking stuff. He wasn't going to deviate against it, and Julio Rodriguez saw 8 of 9 pitches in those first 2 at-bats, and they were all sliders. His third at-bat, he threw him a little split sink, first pitch swing, and ground out to short. So a great young hitter. I don't want to say not making the adjustment. I'm going to lock in more on Otani being really good and having a nice feel for his breaking stuff last night.